This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
So it's like a storm coming. Because it gave me all the vibes when she was in Parapet. Doesn't mean that they say something artificial. It's not something natural. It's somebody wielded a storm at this moment. And who could it be?
There's such a good reel by Dragons in the Detail. They suspect that Ten has been to this place in the past. Mm-hmm. I'm going to build on this and go as far as saying...
And Darna was angry as well.
She was like rippling her scales of her.
Yes, that is the key. Violet was the one who made this lightning happen. She willed because... Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we cover chapters 30 through 32. And just heads up, we use strong language, express passionate opinions, and explore complex themes. So listener discretion is advised.
This episode will contain spoilers from all three books, as well as snippets of information we've had from Rebecca Yarros since release of the third book.
And before we start with the squad brief, quick heads up, you can now subscribe for exclusive content. Think early access to episodes, bonus episodes every month, and totally ad-free listening. You can even try it for free and cancel anytime. For the best deal, check out faithfullyfantasy.com, or if it's easier, just subscribe right on Spotify or Apple Podcast for instant access. And now, without further ado, let's get into Squad Brief.
This week, we pick back up with the squad on the Isle of Umbriel. The Unbrish army has no choice but to accept our request for an audience with the Queen. But they have to fight for the right to party. Oh, talk to the Queen. We watched Dane get knocked out, Xaden get pinned, and Violet absolutely own Marlise. But oops, she's actually the Queen. We finally get some silver-haired explanations, there's suspicious stormy weather, and we find out the cost of the Umbrish army. But is it a price we are unwilling to pay?
So we have so many things in these chapters, and I'm not even sure if we are able to capture every single one of them, because there's so many questions in these chapters. And I might think that I got something, but not completely sure that we got absolutely everything.
Oh, you mean like there's just so much that happens on Umbriel?
Yes, like so many lines, they're just living there. And if you're not paying attention, you're missing maybe the real meaning or what other options are there.
Yeah.
All right, time for a history lesson. Let's dive deep and see what the past is hiding about the future.
Chapter 30.
Epigraph.
It is unwise to favour one god above another. Better to shun them all than to show favouritism amongst a jealous, prodigious pantheon. Major Rory's Guide to Appeasing the Gods, 2nd edition. So, is this a commentary that the Queen lost the fight because she favours a god? Like the island favours Dune?
Yes.
Is it a link to Theophany? Because she's going to die at the end of the book, and she, well, I don't know, she doesn't favour Dune anymore, does she? She kind of shunned Dune. Or is it a link to Violet and like a bit of the first kind of foreshadowing for the fact that Violet was going to be dedicated, but they didn't complete it? Mm-hmm. And I feel like the gods are real characters, aren't they? Do we think that we will get backstory from the gods? We'll find out about their relationships between the gods and why they were jealous of each other and who was more jealous of who. Do you think we'll get further information about that in book 4?
You know, like maybe 5 months ago, if you ask me the same question, I would laugh. I would say, no, we're not going to see the gods. That is just not possible. But after all of that happened in this book, I'm thinking that, yes, it's a fair chance that we start to see that maybe the gods are going to be there. And some point we will see, I don't know, Dune or Malik. I'm not sure that all of them, but at least one of them.
We might already have seen them. We just didn't realize that's who they were. When we first meet Ree, Violet says she is physically similar to the closest or the most modern depiction of Amari. Xaden has the Wrath of Dune.
Yes. I know there's some theories out there saying that maybe the first 6, the first riders, in the end, they get so much power they turn into the gods. They are praying nowadays in the book. So I don't think that could be something that crazy, to be honest, because if you had that much power, and now we see as well the Venom, they can live for centuries using the magic directly from the ground. So we don't know the first 6 what kind of magic they were using. If they're using the magic directly from the sky, they had even more power than the one from the ground.
There's some interesting points about gods in this set of chapters, and we'll get to those. But there's one particular point where the Queen says to Violet, the High Priestess says to Violet, do you worship another now? And she looks at Tern, and then she looks at Xaden. And I don't know, there's something to do with the dragons, isn't there? That possibly the dragons overthrew the gods or something.
Yeah.
And that's why the dragons don't worship their puny gods, and perhaps the gods' life on Earth was ended at that point because the dragons took over. So we start the chapter with the squad having been woken up, or they were already awake, but the Umbrish army had sneaked up on their bait trap, and they basically asked them to leave, but they don't leave because they want an audience with the Queen. Violet says the soldiers on Umbriel are weirdly similar, like they're all exactly the same height. They've all got exactly the same haircut. That's normal in military, that you have your hair like either slicked back as a woman or you have it shaved as a man. But why are they all exactly the same height?
When I was reading this, I was thinking that maybe if you want to be a soldier or part of the army of Umbriel, you need to have some physical requirements. So maybe the height.
Yeah, but exactly the same height. I get normally you'd have like a minimum height or a maximum height for some roles. Maybe you need to be short. I don't know why they have to be exactly the same. It's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, for me, to be honest, the weirdest part of this moment is that the Sorangel says that the people from Umbriel, they're even like tougher. The people from Basgayath, the training they do is better and tougher than Basgayath. So they are really good soldiers. How can they miss like 6 dragons hiding between the trees when they're going to see this trap that Xaden and Violet have been put into these guys to find them easily? And it's just...
They didn't see them.
Yeah, 25 feet average dragon hiding between the trees or something.
It's really dark.
I give it that to Tern because obviously he's made for the night. He's made for the dark. But Sagel, Tane...
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, so we have like these giant dragons like around, and they didn't see them.
You know, though, they have this reputation for being fierce and brutal, but they've never actually fought anyone. So what are they training for?
Yeah.
So they're not very good. Like, that's the thing. Because, okay, Dane lost his match, but...
Well, Xaden was about to lose as well, so... at least the people who are like really high level.
Well, they were just like really big, weren't they? But they're not exceptional. They're supposed to be an exceptional military, but they've never been tested. They've been tested for hundreds of years.
Yeah. Because they've been trained to defend the island, but so far we don't know from
what. Yeah. So they're all pretty scared of the dragons, but they don't run away. One just wets himself. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I would probably do the same.
Yeah. It's strange because in the book says they're scared, but we have to say they didn't run away. Well, maybe they were so petrified they couldn't even move.
Like fixed to the spot. But then there's disappointment because this shock at seeing the dragons means they're not used
Never
to seeing.
seen
They might have seen a dragon or two, like people in the island. I think there is a big suspicion that there's been dragons there before, but these ones haven't. So not everybody has. And I guess what the point is that even if they'd seen them once or twice from a distance, Violet was saying that if the Irids lived there and they thought they were like part of the island, they possibly wouldn't be so scared. But at that point, she doesn't know that the Irids are peaceful. So they could have lived on part of an island, and maybe that is why they were fighting against the dragons. So they have the crossbolts that can go around. Violet doesn't know this at that point. So we know now that they're not on the island, but it could have been.
Yeah, something that caught my attention here as well is when Violet realized that the soldiers had never seen a dragon, which means that the Irids are not in the island. And Darna, she got really frustrated about the situation, and Violet can feel all the frustration. She can feel how it goes through her body. And Violet is the one who says to Andarna, be careful because right now I can't shield here. But I thought it was more like a mental trick, something that you had to do with your mind when you start to build this safe place, that you build like the doors or this kind of stuff that's happening in your head. So why she can't shield the power or the connection with the dragon just because there's no magic around?
That's a really good question.
I thought that maybe I forgot something that's crucial for this, but when Zaydan was teaching to Violet how to shield, everything was a mental thing. Like imagine your favorite place, then put it the doors, then start to shout the power coming.
Is it one of those things again where she's just becoming so reliant on magic that when it's taken away, she feels weak, she feels tired, she feels like she can't shield? Is it something...
So like physically or mentally, she's unable to do it because...
Because she's got so dependent on magic?
Yeah.
That she's... I don't know. That's a really good question, though.
Yeah. I just found it weird. So if maybe somebody can remember some crucial information about this, it would be really appreciated.
Yeah. In this part, Dane is starting to translate for the soldiers. The captain can speak the common language.
Yes.
These call it the common language, but it's only common to Navarre, isn't it? But basically the Navarrish. And he says that the soldier doesn't think that Violet is, and then he gets cut off. And he's like, you know what, doesn't matter. And he sticks his middle finger up at the soldier. And basically that soldier is saying Violet looks weak. She doesn't look strong enough. And he was about to tell her. And then he got cut off because he realized that's exactly how he treated her in first year. And it wasn't going to go well. So he was kind of like telling the soldier that that's not okay to say that as part of him kind of redeeming his guilt of how he treated Violet in first year.
Yeah, I thought it was yes, he was about to translate it to Violet, but he knows that that's not true. It's been proved already that Violet is somebody that you need to be careful.
Fearful of.
Yes, either because of the dragon or the mat or anywhere else. So what he does is just, you know what, this guy doesn't know Violet as well as I do, so fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. So they have no choice but to accept that Violet and Xaden want to go and meet the Queen. And all right, but Violet has to choose half the squad. They're kind of having this negotiation. She ends up having to pick half the squad. So here goes. We've got Xaden, Dane, Violet, Cat, Auric.
Yes.
That's it. Garrick's pretty pissed at first, isn't he? But
He understands the reasons.
Well, in the end, but Xaden tells him off, and basically Violet's... the reason Garrick thinks is a bad idea is because of Dane. I don't know if Garrick suspects or knows that Auric can talk the language at that point.
No, I think it was just Dane, because he understands the Auric as representative for Navarre, for the kingdom. Cad is for Boromir.
But Dane was there for the language.
Then, yes, for the language, and also maybe if they had to fight their way in, then maybe
Garrick
from Garrick, the point of view, he is not the right one for the fight.
Garrick
and
is
he
the
was
better
right.
fighter. Yeah. Oh, I feel sad for Dane when he gets knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, Xaden was struggling with the other guy.
That's because Xaden can't read intentions. The reason Xaden's such a great fighter is because he knows, he knows what the person's about to do. So without that, I mean, Xaden is still one of the strongest fighters, obviously, but he...
Yeah, he always had the advantage. But this guy was, by the description, bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Xaden wasn't fighting with his best weapon. He
chose daggers to help
Yeah,
Violet.
anyway, we're not on that bit yet. So they head to the capital, and the place is constructed to fight dragons. So they make a point of noting that the crossbolts are similar to what's on Deverelli, but they're not just pointing at the coast to defend the island. They're able to rotate as though they believe there's a chance that dragons or creatures that fly will breach the border with the land and the sea. I wondered how old these are, and if, let's say, they haven't had dragons for years and years, but like hundreds of years, they could have built them in anticipation that Navarre would fight back after the Second Crowland Uprising. So we learn by the end of this set of chapters that Umbriel are the ones that were dealing in dragons. So it was their army that went to help with the Second Crowland Uprising. But the Crovelish didn't follow through on their deal to get the eggs because they were in Navarre.
Yes.
So if Navarre had found out that that is what caused the uprising, they could have attacked Umbriel. And so hundreds of years ago, they could have built these crossbolts in the kind of anticipation that Navarre would attack them. Either that, or they are hiding something on the island that they genuinely believe somebody is going to attack for. I think it's the first one.
I don't know how to take this one, because we see in this chapter when Terns arrive with Violet, one of the guards is the one who dares to point out one of these crossbows to Tern. And then when Sagel comes to the other side, he knows that he's being surrounded. But obviously these weapons, they're still functional, so they can still do their job. But doesn't mean that this guy have been just waiting for the fight with Navarre since the second...
Not this one guy.
Not this guy, but I mean the full army had been still prepared just in case for Navarre to attack. Or it could be other kind of dragons that have been fighting as well. But they want dragons, so why they build these weapons against dragons as well? So it's a little bit contradictory.
Such a lot of money, isn't it, to spend on defense when you're not at war?
Because you need to maintain the weapons, have people there, all that kind of stuff, and fighting against what? If you haven't seen a dragon for centuries, is it worth it? Keep these weapons there, ready to
And the
attack?
people, like, you're paying the person.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking is that they don't even have bad relationships with their neighbouring islands, because they're all telling each other that dragons are on their way. So they're all obviously communicating, not in a negative way.
Yes.
So who are they set up to fight against? This makes sense, does it?
No.
We're missing something.
Well, we don't know if it's dragons or wyverns, but can a wyvern as well fly that far away?
Would a wyvern still be able? Would the rune work over the? Because it's controlled by magic in a rune. Would that work over the sea? I don't see how it would.
Yeah, We know that some of the runes that Mira took to the island, they don't work there because they need
Some of
the
them do,
magic
though.
from the... Yes. But...
Maybe that's the clue. Maybe the wyverns do. But there'd be carcasses and there'd be, like, why? Yeah, we just don't have the information we need yet.
Yeah.
It'll be in book 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
So when they get to the crossbolts, Violet says, I don't like you being this close to a crossbolt, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to say to your dragon that you care about. He says, well, I don't like your choice in mates. All right, Tern.
Hey,
That was a
you're
bit
weird.
random. Like, I don't know whether that is Tern. I didn't read that as Tern's sass, like how he's always been sassy. I didn't read it as that. I read it as like, he doesn't like Xaden.
No.
Isn't that a bit of shade on Segale as well? Because that's basically saying that she chose poorly. And why is he saying that?
For me, I took it as Tern says that, well, there's other stuff that I don't like it, and we still get it. So when Violet says to Tern that, I don't like it when you are close to a crossbolt, Tern is the one who says that, well, I don't like your mate, and here we are. So there's stuff that we can't control. We need to just...
Well, yeah, but what he's doing is he's criticizing his own mate. Because dragons don't make mistakes. Dragons don't choose the wrong rider. Well, not good ones. Not like Segale and Bade always does.
Yeah, I think maybe for this point, for Tern and Segale, they just think the Segale chose poorly. Because when Zayden was channeling the first time, Segale was saying, but I chose you.
Yeah.
So they go in, and they have to wait for the captain. They're waiting for them. They're surrounded by a dozen of soldiers. They're all of them looking at them. So Violet, she's just trying to calm down. She's still with her hands close to the daggers, just in case. But then from the distance, you can see there's clouds coming. So it's like a storm coming. And she noticed that, okay, there's a storm coming. I think maybe in some point there was like a raindrop or something. But this made me think when I was reading this, because it gave me all the vibes when she was in parapet. When she was in the parapet, there's a storm coming. And I was, does it mean that they say something artificial? It's not something natural. It's somebody wielding a storm at this moment. And who could it be? And then my mind was, that's gonna be Lilith.
I was thinking it was more likely to be Theophany.
I mean, there are two storm wielders that we know, but I generally don't believe that Theophany would go that far, like finding one in a wyvern.
Yeah, I don't know how she would have got there, and I also think I'm not entirely sure that she would want to go to Umbriel because of how she has shunned Dune, but she might have a need. She might be constantly fighting that need to go there. But I think there's several things I have to say about this. The first one, though, I don't think it was Lilith on parapet. I do think it was Theophany trying to throw her off. I think we're never going to find that out because Theophany's dead, Lilith's dead. But
they're probably in a flashback or something, a conversation.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I think that it's more likely to be Dune. I don't think it's Violet because it's a storm. It's not just lightning. There's clouds. There's rain. Violet doesn't do that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a storm. That's why for me was the only two storm wielders that we know as Lilith and Theophany. The only reason that I don't give it for Theophany is, well, two. One, the one that you said that I don't think she will go there. The second one is that she dies nearly by the end of this book, and she never mentioned anything about this.
Yeah.
So she will say something like when she left the note for the lightning wielder. So she will do something like make clear that she was there. But no, she dies, and there was no reference at all. So the only other option for me, Lilith, in front, since I say I don't believe she's dead. This is just like
I think it's
thing.
Dune. I think it's Dune. You know, like, it could have even been Dune on the parapet.
The parapet, for me, doesn't make sense because that was something bad for Violet. Because made the parapet more difficult to pass
Yeah,
with the wind
because
and all wet.
Dune maybe thought that if Violet didn't want to cross in the storm, she would go and dedicate herself. She would choose her. Because this is like, you see, Dune will still have you if you choose us in your path. Dune doesn't necessarily want Violet to be a rider. Maybe Dune wants her to be a priestess.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand. I don't agree, but I completely understand.
Yeah. I just feel like it's too far-fetched to bring Lilith back. I really do.
Like I say, if you take away the red eyes reference that she got at the beginning, and if you will give me like a really nice funeral or something that happened after the body, but after she died was just nothing happens. So yeah, Violet was sad and everything, but there's no reference about ceremony or anything for the general of Bascaya,
Well,
the one
stuff
who
got
sacrificed their life for all the people from Nawar. There's nothing.
Yeah, but her stuff got burnt, apart from the journals. I just feel like Mira is already stepping into Lilith's role. The, like, secrecy, the judgment.
Yeah.
Mira really steps into that role in this book. So when the squad are approaching the Queen, the palace, I guess, the soldiers are like shouting or talking. Violet can only understand a few words. They say dangerous and holy. I think you're supposed to think like this is a swear word, but I think it's they see her hair and they think, make way, holy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. When they were saying this, it was more like, holy shit. They're riders from Navarre with the dragons. But now that you say it, yes, these guys, they had a lot of people that are being dedicated for Dune. So they had the silver hair.
This person is holy, make way for them. Because they do get out of the way.
Yes, because obviously they are, holy in the island, literally.
Yeah. So we get a bit of a reference to the symbol of Dune, which is two crossed swords. So this is very similar to what the army had. The army had two crossed swords and a horseshoe, because obviously there's lots of horses in the army. Although I did last week suspect that there might be a link with Zanal. I'm not sure. And then the symbol of Dune is two crossed swords with a talon in the middle. So much to say about this. So, you know how Xaden has the Wrath of Dune, and Xaden, like, there's been a few times where I've thought there's a link between Xaden and Dune. In fact, all the way through our last season, before Onyx Dawn came out, I thought Dune was his mom for a long time. But again, the crossed swords. What does Xaden walk around with? Crossed swords at his back. Like, he always has his swords over his back. What is the reference? What is the link between Xaden and Dune? And the things that I'm thinking is that he could be, it could be again like a fate thing where he was sent by Dune to be Violet's partner. And I don't know, it's just the crossed swords. It comes back again to Xaden.
Yeah.
He's not got silver hair, he's not been dedicated, but there is some link between Xaden and Dune.
Everything related to Satan and the gods is something that it confused me a lot, because we had these flakes of golden in the eyes. I'm not sure if that is going to be part of some kind of dedication, but there's going to be...
His mum has them. It's like genetic, isn't it?
Well, the mom's probably the only one in the island. So that's why I'm thinking that maybe if the mom have it, because she'd been not fully dedicated, but touched like Violet, she did the same for Satan for protection.
But it would be loyal.
Yeah, has to be loyal. Is the only thing. Yeah. That's why I'm thinking. It confused me, because if I'm coming for that theory, it would be for loyal. And it's been a couple of references when Violet says Satan as, I think she mentioned like a an angel from Dune.
Yeah,
or-
the Wrath of Doom. No, it was like the messenger of the Queen of the
messenger.
Gods.
Yeah,
But isn't
Amari.
Amari the Queen of Gods?
So another god.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kept thinking that there was references to Dune. I think I highlighted quite a lot in the Iron Flame book. But this one's got a claw on, and Violet says that that's really similar to their symbol of Dune on the continent, which suggests that there's a common origin. I don't know why she would think this is weird, because Dune is a god, and I guess so. The symbol of Christianity is a cross, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's the same all over the world. And I know that that has been for hundreds of years, not just because of modern media and how connected the world is. That is just the symbol of Christianity. So I'm not really sure why she would expect it to be different. It's Dune.
Yeah.
It's not like a different god. So yeah, I'm not really sure why that was needed to be pointed out. But 10 tells her to snap out of it anyway. So
Yes, just one of the lots of time that he does in these chapters.
yeah.
The thing that caught my attention as well is there was a talon. So obviously dragons are a really important part of the culture in this island. And maybe that's why they're so desperate to get dragons, because maybe long time ago dragons were part of them, and that's why they are training so hard, because they probably were the first riders and they need to show the value to the dragons. And then something happened and they had no dragons anymore, and that respect or that culture about the dragons is still there and still reflected in the symbols as well.
I think the symbols on the pillars are I think that because the talon is there, they're trying to get it, because they don't have all the tools of warfare. They have some of them, but they don't have all of them. What are the symbols? So there's a sword, a shield, fire, water, a claw, and a book. Why are there only 6? What's the 7th one? There's always 7. There's supposed to be 6, and then there's a 7th one.
6 in the one.
The claw could be griffins, though, couldn't it? The griffins have claws.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why it's not definitely a dragon.
Yeah.
But also I wonder, why is water a tool of warfare? Yeah, that one stuck out to me. Sword, shield, obviously, just weapons and protection.
Attack. Yeah.
Fire, water.
Just elements to make more weapons.
Yeah, but what about wind and earth? I know earth probably isn't, but wind could be.
Yeah.
And then obviously the claw. They don't have hoofs. They don't have horseshoe on there.
Yeah.
And that is a key tool for them. They've obviously replaced their claws with horses. And then the book is the interesting one, isn't it? Because it's all about misinformation and stuff. There's a lot of detail about this place. There's also a giant statue of Dune. I don't know if it's significant that she has a sword held high and her shield protecting the side of her temple. I think it seems like quite an impressive place where you've got the pillars with the carvings and the giant statue of Dune. Behind the statue of Dune is where the children come out of the temple, and Violet notices that one of them has half a head of silver hair just like her. This was really cool. If you think about, so now we're reading this part of the book for I don't know, we've read it a couple of times. The first time we read this, we had no idea we were going to get the answers about her silver hair.
Yes.
And when this happened, I was like, all of them have silver hair,
Yes.
apart from this one kid that doesn't. We don't find anything more about it in this chapter, but that is kind of the shock.
Yes, finally we found somebody like Violet. These chapters is just a little bit confusing with the epigraphs and what happens. So at the beginning of this one, you shouldn't worship just one god, or all of them, or none of them. But we had an island when every single one had a favorite one. So obviously that is not following. Then we had another one. There's a missive, I think, or a public note that they're not allowed to dedicate children anymore. And we had this little girl here.
Well, that's
with
because
had silver hair.
Yeah, but the law is on Navarre, and Poromil. It's on the continent. The law isn't on Umbriel.
Yeah.
They dedicate their children on Umbriel. It's a Navarrian law, that one, but it says it was ruled out even earlier in Poromil. So Navarre followed. Poromil did it first, then Navarre.
Yes.
But Umbriel obviously still does it. I guess like capital punishment is outlawed
in some places, yes.
a lot of countries, but in other countries it's not.
The other thing that it caught my attention about these people with silver hair, because all of them have silver hair, is the robes as well. Some of them have blue robes. First started going to my mom, Berwin. I was like,
Oh, you are obsessed with blue robes.
blue robes, yes. That
Nah.
is my call.
Does Theophany have blue robes?
I
I kind of thought she had
I'm
grey.
not
I imagined her having
sure.
grey robes, and I don't know why. Just did.
I imagine her more like a scribe. They wearing all the time scribe robes.
Because she was sneaking into the scribe.
Yeah, so I don't know if she changed the clothes after that, or if she just keep it.
I don't know how scribes keep their robes clean. That doesn't really matter. The thing that I thought of because it was pale blue robes was more like healers.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's significant. I think they're just blue.
Yeah, it's just culture. And yeah.
The silver hair is far more
Oh, yeah.
important.
Definitely.
Okay.
That's key, obviously.
Yeah. Chapter 31.
Chapter 31.
Guardians are no longer permitted to dedicate children in service to their favoured deity. The decision to serve gods for life must be made after the age of majority and of one's free will. Public Notice 200.417, transcribed by Raquel Lightstone. Well, 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 isn't Daddy Sorengale a little rule breaker?
Yes, and I wonder as well why they decide to do that. So, for one side, I understand that, yes, if you're a child and you've been dedicated to a god that you are not agreed with some of the stuff that the god required, you might feel that your parents maybe ruined your life or you don't have the life that you want. And yeah, that's not fair for the child.
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yes, and the other hand as well, what other thing could happen to make this law, basically? So, first thing that comes to my mind, Theophany.
Yeah, she ruined it for everyone.
Yes.
They're like, oh no, this person.
And we don't know if there's more like her. That maybe, yes, they were dedicated and then just change their mind and maybe they use the venom side as a freedom. Because if they're full dedicated, they feel they're longing to the temple. But if maybe they channel from the ground, they break with the gods.
Yeah. That is really, really interesting. So you think there was more children dedicated, and because they were rebelling against that dedication, they started to turn venom?
Yeah, so you know, like the flyers, when they didn't make it to bond with the griffon, and then at the bottom of the cliff they had a venom, they just call in and then talking about this new religion
Drug.
they have. So Basgayat started to build all the traps and all the stuff for the cadets to precisely to avoid that situation. They have people that are more likely to turn into venom. So if we start to see that maybe a lot of the children that were dedicated to gods, they start to turn venom maybe because that was a way to break that bond with the god, then they had to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so again, I wonder how many other like Theophany we will see.
Yeah, but you only have a lifetime dedication of Loyal and Dune.
Yeah.
We don't know very much about Loyal.
No, that's still a mystery so far. And something that we know for sure is that when dedicate the person to the god, the soul change. So that's why the hair turns silver. We don't know why it's going to change when it's somebody dedicated to Loyal. Maybe the eyes. Golden
Yeah,
flecks.
but maybe nothing physically does change. We know it does for Dune, but it doesn't necessarily for Loyal.
I mean, I don't see why not, because it will be playing with the sound rules. Maybe it will be rubbish if I has the head as well. I'm guessing there will be some kind of distinction. So I'm really interested to see what happened to the people who are dedicated to Loyal. What is the
Yeah.
physically change, if
Yeah,
there's
if there
any?
is one. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Back to the child with half silver hair. There was so much speculation that this was due to the virus. This was possibly something to do with Violet being part venom.
Yes,
There
that was my.
Oh, was
my
it?
thought.
There's so many theories, and this was not what we were expecting at all.
Well, for me, I wasn't expecting anything about the gods. For me, well, like no, because it's not gonna be a mixed dragons, gods, and other stuff. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I'm really wrong.
Interestingly, Violet says, does she have weak joints? Is she does she struggle physically as well? So it's interesting that Violet associates her silver hair with her weak joints. And I think it's safe to say that that's not why she has weak joints. That is something else entirely. It could be that she just genuinely has ED, or it could be as a result of this. This is the bit that's caused by the virus.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what's gonna be Rebecca Yarrow's point of view on this, because obviously she put this on Violet to make more people aware about this than not many people knew about it.
I think Violet associates it with the virus because she's always been told that there was a virus, and that's basically been the cover-up story, hasn't it? So whether or not there was a virus, we don't actually know. There might never have been a virus. It's just a cover-up story for a dad going AWOL and trying to dedicate her to Dune. We've mentioned this a little bit earlier on in the episode. 10 again. So when she sees the kid with silver hair, 10 again tells her to focus, stop analysing. We'll come back to that later. There's such a good reel by Dragons in the Detail on Instagram. They kind of break down all the times that 10 tells her to stop analysing. They also call back to the point in the previous chapter where they're flying into the palace, into the centre of the city, and she says it's just over there, and he says, I know, I was there, I remember. And they say, why would he say that if he'd never been there? So they suspect that 10 has been to this place in the past. Has he been to this temple? And they talk about how that could be why the crossbows are there. They've been there in the past.
Yeah.
I'm going to build on this and go as far as saying, could 10 have been there on that journey where Daddy Sorrengail takes Violet to be dedicated? Could that be the reason why the dedication was never finished? There was some vision by the Oracle that was kind of exacerbated by the fact that 10 was with the party. We don't know how Daddy Sorrengail got there. We know that it's unlikely that 10 physically carried him himself. Did he go in a basket? I don't know. But it feels suspicious. And I come back again to the point where 10 says, I know exactly who and what you are. He knows her. He's known her for a lot longer than she would have realised. I agree with Dragons in the Detail that 10 has been to Umbriel before. And I wonder if that was part of Violet's dedication trip.
Ten in this chapter has been really weird. He's just been trying constantly just to snap up Violet with the thoughts.
But really important things like the connection to Dune, the silver hair, the really important things. He doesn't want her overanalyzing them right now. And yeah, you might think that's because she's got to focus and she's got to... But at this point, he doesn't know that she's going to be fighting. Basically... They're just on their way in. Yeah, it's tense and it's scary, but he's hiding something.
The question is this: how long has been Tarn maybe linked to Violet's family or even Violet herself? Because it's true what he said from the first time when he met Violet, I know exactly what and who you are. So we always were thinking that maybe it's because she is half-blood dragon or something like this. But maybe it's something about the gods, and that's why he always in the puny gods, because he knows everything about the gods, he's just not agree with all the stuff.
Yeah, and I was thinking, what about Nayland? But we find out that we think Rebecca Yarros has hinted enough that Brennan and Nayland were in a relationship. She's never said it, but she's hinted at it quite a lot. And we know that Nayland was we know that the person he was in a relationship was a few years older than him.
Yes.
So if we think about the time where Violet was 2 years old, Nayland wouldn't have been bonded to Tarn at that point. So Tarn would be an unbonded dragon. Nayland was his first and only previous rider.
Yes.
So at that point, Tarn would have been free to do what he wants. Why would he be accompanying that mission unless it was something to do with the Empyrean, in preparation to stop her bonding, they knew something?
Tarn is a really important dragon. Basically, he is the second biggest and powerful dragon from all the continent, and we don't know why he waited so long to get a rider. What he's been doing all that time before. Maybe he's doing secret mission from the Empyrean dragon business, and some of those dragon business were outside, so we don't know anything about it. And it would be interesting to see if maybe in those missions outside, at some point he crossed the way with Daddy Sorangel.
Yeah, it's the bit that makes me think that he was there with Daddy Sorangel is that he was saying, I was there, I remember. And she is referring back, not to looking at a map. She's referring back to the research. Why would he say he was there? He remembers if he wasn't there with Daddy Sorangel. So my money is on the fact that he was there. I don't know why, but I'm sure we'll come up with some reasons why in the next few weeks. I think he was there.
Yes.
And thanks to Dragons in the Detail for pointing that out, pointing the fact out that he'd been there before, because it's such a good reel. Violet knows that moving on to the task at hand, they have to fight for an audience with the Queen. Violet knows that Xaden is going to have to fight. She sends up a silent prayer to Dune that he's ready. Did this help?
Fighting against one of the Dune's people.
Well, people that think they're Dune. The dedicated ones are, but the soldiers aren't.
Yeah, but it's basically in the island when they just pray to
Yeah, but
Dune.
Violet's in Dune's favour. You've got to remember, she's been selected by a god.
Yes.
Or maybe not. She's been touched by a god.
Some of the other people that we still don't know why they're doing that.
I think Dune was with Violet. It doesn't seem like she was with Xaden, because Xaden wasn't winning his fight. And had Violet not thrown the dagger at the last minute,
He would be really in trouble.
he would be in trouble, yeah. But anyway, this is where we find out that Oryx can speak Unbrish. When I was reading this again, I had to check, because there is a missive towards the end of the book, or a letter to Oryx that says, from one servant of Dune to another, here is the weapon, she must use it, blah blah blah.
Yes.
I didn't know that it was whether it was clear that Violet was a servant of Dune, because she's not a servant of Dune. She's touched by Dune.
Yes.
That makes it seem like Auric is the servant of Dune.
Yeah.
I thought that was all really odd because he's not got silver hair, he's not dedicated. But is there some link between Auric and Dune? He speaks Umbrish, but I also checked he can speak Zelnian as well.
Yeah.
But she speaks the common language, doesn't she? But he speaks other languages. It's not unique. But I still think that letter between the priestess in Tyrrendor and Auric that's addressed from one servant of Dune to another.
Yeah, that's how I understand it. The Auric was a servant of Dune as well. And in this chapter, Violet said that when he is speaking, he speaks just flawless. So I wonder if
that makes me feel like he's the one that took the eggs to Umbriel. Because she would have seen, like, you know what they see things in the smoke, don't they, in the temples?
Yeah, so maybe Auric is just, I think we said this before in kind of Doctor Strange from Infinity War, the Marvel movies, that he knows that this is the only way to win the fight. Even maybe it's something that nobody can understand, but it's the only way.
Yeah. I hope he's not the one that turned Vannin. I can see it because of the third brother prophecy and all of that. But I'm currently leaning to him having taken the eggs to Umbriel, and that is why he is referred to as a servant of Dune.
For me, the only reason that I will think that Auric is the one who turned into Venom in the end is because Rebecca Jarvis needs something to take Auric away from Violet.
Because he's so useful.
Yes, if Violet has somebody that can see the future and can tell her everything that she needs, how difficult will it be for her to get everything the way she wants? What Satan is? How can I get to him? How can I cure him?
She needs to take him out.
All the answers are in Auric's.
Yeah, but she can't kill him. That's a really good point.
Yes.
So, it's like the Hedwig thing.
So I won't believe that because the clues that Rebecca Yarros has said, who is the brother who's been seen struggling, who is the one who is not there in the end, all that kind of stuff, I don't see fitting to Auric. But to be honest, I didn't see Violet as a dream walker either.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's another.
I do genuinely believe that she's keeping it open so she can decide. She might change her mind. I know why I'm whispering.
Then maybe she's checking reels and stuff, and then the name that's less popular. That one.
No, she won't do that. I think it's Bodhi. Right. So Xaden gives a little speech, like Auric wants to fight, and he's being a bit sneaky because he's the only one that like properly speaks fluent Umbrish. But he wants to fight. And he's like, I'm not my father, I'm not my brother. I'm going to paraphrase, but Xaden says, no, you are not your father and you are not your brother. And that's precisely why we need you to live, because your kingdom needs you. And that's like a really good thing for Xaden to say. And then Auric says, I could say the same thing for you. And he's like, no, because Tyrrendor is safe in Bodhi's hands if I die.
Yes.
Question number 1. Would Tyrrendor be safe in Bodhi's hands? Question number 2. Is this why people think that Violet married Bodhi at the end of the book?
Oh, gosh. I mean, answer to question number 1? No, I think Bodhi will be just giving secrets, like state secrets to everyone.
Oh, he's just chatting shit. Like, just walking around, giving everybody...
the first thing. So, Tyrrendor will be ruined.
Oh, nothing's classified.
Strategy, all that kind of stuff.
Forgot about that.
And the second one, I won't think Satan will allow Violet get married with Bodhi for any kind of circumstances.
No.
It's just, no, I don't see it. Plus,
Don't we see them?
It's been just 12 hours missing. So there's, wherever it happened in 12 hours. So I don't see Satan first giving out the title, Bodhi, having it back.
So we know that Violet isn't married to Bodhi because Brennan sees the blessing, the certificate. Violet says to Xaden, and Brennan nods. So we know that she's married to Xaden.
Yeah.
But it would be cool. I do like the I do like the theory.
Well, yeah, everything is conspiracy and
We don't
crazy theories.
Yeah, we might not trust Brennan. He doesn't say yes. He might be like, because he knows she's going to flip out if she says it says Bodhi Duran.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mrs. Duran. No. But Xaden trusts him. Xaden really, really trusts him. And that is key.
Yeah. Trust him because it's like a brother. Brother that saw him struggling for 5 months.
Yeah. Bodhi's definitely the Venom.
Everything for me, honestly, pointed out to Bodhi.
Same! And everyone's like, no, it's Garrick, it's Garrick, it's Garrick. I can't see how it's Garrick. But
and precisely because of that, it's going to be somebody that we have no clue. It's going to be, I don't know, Kaori.
It's going to be Garrick, because I'm always wrong about everything.
Yeah.
Oh, God, imagine if it was Kaori.
Yeah. The brother is struggling.
He didn't see him struggling, did he? But that would be very unexpected.
No, that's what I was saying. There's going to be somebody there. Everyone will be like, what?
Yeah. How did he see him struggle? He didn't.
Yeah. In the office when they were teachers. There you go. Putting all the links together.
Right. Should we come back to the... How many times do we go off track and talk about who the brother could be? It's definitely Bodhi. We get a close-up of the priestess because she comes around and she starts like just stabbing people, making their blood fall onto the stones so they have to fight. But anyway, we see her. She has a fading tattoo. When she has a tattoo, I don't know if it's fading. She has a tattoo on her forehead. Violet says she's got to be 75-ish. How long would it take for the tattoo to fade so much that you couldn't really tell what it was? And then she starts putting the stuff together in her head. She doesn't say it, but we know. We're like, ooh, theophany.
Yes.
That is as concrete evidence as there can be that theophany is hella old, like really old. So how old is theophany?
Because me as a writer, I like to make sure that all the stuff that I'm putting in the books is in fact and they can be explained like very well. So when I read this, I get like really curious, like how long it will take a tattoo in real life to start to fade in. So I started looking at websites on calculation and stuff like that. And apparently the time for a tattoo to fade it to the point there's not be recognizable is between 40 and 80 years. So that didn't give me that much information because I was thinking if you able to like contain like how much fade in, I don't know, 5 years, you
But
you might be
fade to
able to calculate.
disappear, like to be super faint.
Yeah, that you will see something like a shade or something, but you won't be able to tell what it is. Between 40 and 80 years. So for me, it was disappointing.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
No, I don't believe
but
that.
if you
40 years? I don't believe that.
Between 40 and 80 years.
Yeah, 80 I can get, but 40?
Well, how many people you have, they have a tattoo for 40 years?
Right, like...
40 years is still a big number with a tattoo. Obviously, it's an estimation, but when I was doing this, I'd say it will give me like centuries or something like that.
But why would it give you centuries? Nobody lives for centuries.
Yeah, but it's an estimation.
Oh, yeah, if the skin comes off. No, so I don't
think... It says between 40 and 80 because depend on the skin, depend on the ink, depend on the weather as well. If I sun,
very
if
stormy and umbrella. No, I think... this is a hint that she's really old. I don't think it's a scientifically correct 40 to 80 years. My guess is that this is really old. And when you are aging your people, your characters, she's not going to be from like a random time between major events, is she? She's going to be from major events because that's what the clues are.
Yes.
I don't think she's like as ancient as Cortland.
1,000 years.
Yeah, I think 1,000 years before Navarre even existed. I don't think she is like from the Craven Uprising or anything. I think she is from the first 6, but I don't think she bonded.
That was my
from the same time as the first 6.
That was my first reaction, because the tattoo, it gives away that it's supposed to be so old that one is faded. Plus, she knew about Eris. So Eris have been missing basically for 650 years since basically Navarre put the words. So I was thinking it has to be something around that time.
Yeah, which is really old.
Yes.
And we know that Lilith was the answer to her. So the first storm, the biggest, like the most strongest storm wielders never stood a chance. And then Lilith was the one that was maybe, but no, she didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
And then Violet just took her out. Violet hears thunder in the distance, talking of storm wielders like Theophany and Lilith. Then she's like, I want my fucking power back. She has a bit of a tantrum. That's how I read it anyway. And then she's like, without power, Xaden's the strongest rider here, but with it, I am. Shut the front door. She is not stronger than Xaden. I don't care what she thinks. Yes, lightning is great, it's powerful. She's not 100%. I mean, she's got a lot better, hasn't she? She's very good. She can wipe out all these wyvern in a cloud. But she needs a cloud to do that. Xaden's shadows, I'm sorry, but they are very, very powerful. They have multiple applications. I don't think Violet is more powerful than Xaden.
I think she's talking about just how deadly is the power. Like one strike, one wyvern goes down. But
one squeeze of the neck with his shadows, one stab. These shadows can do all sorts of stuff.
No, I give you that. As if you ask me if I want to be a lightning wielder or a shadow wielder, I will definitely go for shadow wielder.
You'd definitely be a shadow wielder.
Yeah, because the amount of things that you can do with those shadows is just amazing.
He took out 12 people in one go. Violet would need a cloud to do that.
Yeah.
And she would risk taking herself out.
And say that made this mushroom cloud that you...
A big mushroom cloud of shadow.
And that was just as an ascent. Imagine when he goes to maybe Sage Maven.
Yeah. I mean, it's pure power. So maybe that's what she's thinking. But she's getting a bit big for her boots here, isn't she?
Yeah, spending too much time with her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is, rubbing off. The weather. Where is the weather coming from? I made my list.
Just one name, Lilith. That's it.
No, I didn't put Lilith on my list because she's dead. Violet is one option. That's what everybody says. Oh, did you do that? Did you do that? I don't think Violet did it. It's a storm.
Yes.
The lightning cracked. So maybe the storm was... One thing we haven't said is the storm could have been completely coincidental. Like, could have been the weather. We need Rhiannon and her book of historical weather, or her book of weather patterns.
Yes.
But it could have been the storm was coming anyway, and Violet brought the lightning. But there was thunder in the distance, and that's not something that Violet doesn't control the weather, so she does not create thunder. Could be Theophany, but again, we said don't think she would travel all the way there. Andana, maybe, but again, it's a storm. But I don't think. I think it could be power from the sky. Like Andana could be making the power come down from the sky. And Dune was my other option. And I like the idea that it's Dune. I think Dune is helping Violet.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I would like to think for sure is that a storm, it wasn't a natural event.
Yeah, it feels like it wasn't, doesn't it?
Definitely we need some books of weather and umbrella as well to see when it's real.
Need the weather
and when
forecast. Just stick the TV on at 6 p.m.
Yes, we're not expecting a storm, so if you see anything, it's a storm welder around. But I would like to think there's Lilith, imbuing the weapon.
No, I really don't think it's. I'm not gonna go too much down there because I really don't think it's Lilith. But there is a lot of hints that did you do that, Violet? You can't. And then Violet's like, how many times do I have to tell you there's no magic here? And then Mira says, yeah, but you can still communicate with your dragons.
Yes.
It's definitely something that Violet is doing or that is linked to Violet. I just want it to be Dune.
Okay, I have a theory about it. So, before the lightning strikes, we see the Violet is about to fight with Marley. And Darna is really close, and she is camouflaged. She's basically invisible. But Violet is able to see the golden eyes just reflecting in one of the statues of Doom. So Andarna is watching the fight, and for Andarna, she thinks that it's not fair because they weren't there just for one fight. It was Seidan.
Really angry.
She was really angry when she saw that Violet was fighting as well with this woman. There was basically no match for Violet, and just in physical appearance. So Andarna was really close. And when Violet was really angry as well, when she was trying to make the queen to yield, Andarna was angry as well.
She was like rippling her scales over it.
Yes, that is the key. Why? I really think Violet was the one who made this lightning happen. She willed. Because what Andarna was saying at the beginning of this book, magic feels different when I change color.
Oh, yeah.
She was changing color.
From the sky.
That's why when she was doing it, she burned the venom the first time in Iron Flame. Here, she was doing exactly the same. She was changing color. When she's doing that, I really think is when she started to wielding from the sky. She started channeling from the sky.
So she doesn't do it all the time. She only does it when she's changing color.
And then when she's channeling from the sky, Violet has these new souls coming as well. And when she was angry, the lightning strike. And what lightning starts with Violet at the beginning? With feelings. When she's really angry or when she's really horny.
And she can't shield there.
Yeah, so I think when this is happening for her, it's like the very first time. So it's like new souls. She doesn't realize it's happening.
Yeah.
And she's the one that actually do it.
Yeah, that's interesting because it kind of checks out as well that you'd think that she couldn't access, if you weren't thinking about it a lot, you'd think that she wouldn't be able to access the lightning. She'd be able to do the dream walking and the mind walking stuff because that's the signet that she has, which is a unique combination of her personality or her deep need and Andana's power. The lightning and the power channeling is turns, isn't it? And you'd think, well, she can't access turns. But later on in the book, when Andana breaks the bond and she goes, Violet still has the mind walking power. So I think once you develop a signet, the signet is the signet. And it doesn't matter the source of the power because that is why a Venom will still keep their signet because the signet's being powered by a different type of magic. Yes. So it totally makes sense. And yeah, I think you're right. I was wanting it to be Doom, but now it's so obvious. I don't know how I missed it.
Yeah, for me when I was reading it, I was like, this is how she do it. This is how she channeled from the sky. She needs to change the colors.
Is it the changing of the colors that means she can channel from the sky, or is it when she channels from the sky, she changes color? Like, what's the cause and what's the effect?
I don't know, because in both occasions, it's exactly the same. She was basically camouflaging or invisible. And then when she started to get rid of that camouflage, that color, the black, started to
It was like
back.
ripples, wasn't it?
Yes. It's when she said the magic feels different.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Totally right.
yeah.
Convinced. So the priestess is talking to Violet. She's already decided that Xaden will fight. And she's now decided that Dane will fight. It's kind of, she chooses Dane by process of elimination. She's like, Auric is the prince. He's not going to fight. Dune has not chosen him today. Kat, she's an outsider and they think a lot of her, so she's going to spare her. Violet's the smallest, so won't be her. So Dane, it's got to be Dane.
Yeah.
And then Oryx like, I'll fight. And she's like, no. And then Violet has a bit of a chat with the priestess. The priestess asks Violet if she chose this life. And Violet is about to say, well, my mum, and then she thinks about all the times that she could have got out and that Dane gave her basically a free ticket out of there.
Yes.
And she chose to stay. So she was like, yeah, actually I did. I chose to stay. And this is when the priestess says, it is a good thing that we did not complete your dedication. Not only have we got a confirmation there that they did not, that Violet was like, there was an attempt to get Violet dedicated. We get confirmation that it was not completed, and we get confirmation that it was on the Isle of Umbriel. So there's 3 things like confirmed there. Then she says, or perhaps you favour, you can still, Dune will still have you basically, or perhaps you've chosen another god. And then she looks at Tern, and then she looks at Xaden. The chosen another god, and the fact that she looks at Dragon, I mentioned this right at the beginning of the episode. It feels to me like there's a link there between Tern and a god, or dragons and a god. And it wouldn't be an episode of Faithfully Fantasy if I didn't throw in my nail in as Malik theory.
Here we go. It's been a while.
So we know that Violet, and I know this is unhinged, but I just can't get it out of my head. We know that Violet has some kind of link with Malik because of the epigraph at the end that says, that same one that says, from one servant of Dune to another. I pray that she doesn't have to use this to meet or to reacquaint herself with the other who curries her favour. So Malik is in favour with her. Mm-hmm. She looks at Tern. Nailin, in air quotes, resurrected Brennan. Mm-hmm. Kaori says, saving a life makes you a hero or something, doesn't it? I'm making this up. But resurrection makes you a god. Bringing someone back to life makes you a god. Which god would not want you to bring someone back to life? Malik.
Yeah.
That, for me, just, like, again, I come back to the fact that Nailin could have knocked Malik off his throne and become the god of death for doing that. And I know it's bonkers, but this whole series is bonkers. I still think there's a connection between Nailin and Malik. And the fact that she looks at Tern.
So, you can believe that Nailin is Malik now, but you don't believe Lilith is alive.
No. She would never bring back a mother. Like, if she brings back a mother, mm-hmm. The loss is so painful. It just, like, she might do, but I feel like it just devalues that whole loss. And then you start to think, well, death doesn't mean anything. Like, you don't, Rebecca Yarros likes us to care about people and then be absolutely heartbroken when they die. If she kept bringing people back, like Brennan, Jack, I mean, we weren't heartbroken for him. If she brings back Lilith, death is going to mean so much less. It's kind of like that way with Game of Thrones. People get dying and Prison Break. We've talked about this. Like, did they die? Probably not. You don't feel that.
Yeah, but you know, the part when we feel like broken because somebody died, I would think right now 2 occasions. Lian, of course. We know that Lian died, that Xaden was with the other friends, burning the body, the dragon.
I felt broken with Lilith. Like, that makes me cry every time still.
Yeah. No, for me, not that much. But the other one is with Trigger. When Trigger died, I was like really shocked. Not gonna cry, but when he died,
I was like, poor cat. Like,
yes. So it's something sad and something shocking the way that he dies. But when he died, there's a ceremony, they're burning everything.
Yeah, but they didn't have time. They will have done the ceremony. It was just off the page.
If you ask me, is Lian coming back or is Trigger coming back? No, they're dead and they're burned and the ashes have been sprayed.
So is Quinn coming back?
We didn't see in the end what happened.
Oh, don't. Like, if she brings Lilith back, I honestly think that devalues the pain of death in this series, and I will not feel. I'm saying this, and I'll still cry like a baby when Dane dies.
Yeah, but it's gonna be happy when Violet maybe dying or something, and then Lila appear. You don't touch my baby, and then
not my daughter, you bitch. Like Molly Weasley, the Molly Weasley treatment.
Yes.
No.
Okay, let's move it on.
Let's do a poll.
Lilia's life? Yes, no. It's gonna be no.
Yeah, because I'm going to write it and I'm going to be like, do you think I'm
JC
right?
thinks
Or JC
this.
thinks
Oh my
this.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, you can think like this.
And then you can do one is Nell and Malak. And everyone will be like 100% no. So we've talked a bit about why she might look at 10 when she says, perhaps you've chosen another god. Another reason why she might look at Xaden is because Loyal is the other one who requires a lifetime of dedication. This is more likely, in my opinion, because of the fact that Loyal is the only other god that requires a lifetime of dedication. Has she unwittingly chosen Loyal through Xaden just off the basis that she is choosing love? She's like, I choose him. And Xaden has spent the whole book saying the same thing. I
Violet
only answer to her.
Yeah.
I use Tyrandor to protect her, not the other way around. He chooses Violet. Violet chooses him. And that is like a deep kind of love, isn't it? So I wonder if they're choosing love and not war. And that is deliberate because she can choose both. So I do think it's more likely that there's a link there between Violet and Loyal. I don't think there's a physical dedication, but I do wonder if there's you choose that. And if you really know love like that, then you are dedicated to Loyal.
Yes. Still don't know about if there's any reference about people who's dedicated to Loyal, but I really want to know that. I say this again, but I still think it's gonna be maybe if Xaden is touch or something, maybe it's all those golden flakes, and maybe if you're full dedicated, your full eyes are golden. So
like a dragon. But
yeah,
I don't know. So for me, the question about dedication to Loyal, why would you dedicate yourself to the god of love and then spend all of your life worshipping in a temple, worshipping that god in a temple? I don't think you do that with Loyal. I think you fall in love, like deeply, irrevocably in love. And that is you giving that love for life is your dedication to Loyal. And I think that protects your soul. Because it does say love and war change our souls forever. I think that offers both Violet and Xaden some protection from the stolen magic.
Yes.
So I just don't get why you would have a load of people in a temple worshipping Loyal. Doesn't make sense. Am I missing something? Wouldn't you be the ones that genuinely believed in love and wanted love, and they were like worshipping the god of love? They would be out there being in love, wouldn't they?
Yes, because I'm guessing as a god of love, you want is just the love is spray for the world. The more people you start to love, you are basically worshipping the god as well, because at the end, that's what you're doing, just giving love.
Yeah.
Okay, so we end this chapter with Violet now has to fight.
Yes. Chapter 32.
Epigraph.
With such one colouring in the vegetation, it comes as no surprise that it requires 4 times the amount of indigo to dye even the simplest garment. I can't help but wonder if the colours of our continent are the exception, or if the Isles are. Umbriel, Isle of Doon, by 2nd Lieutenant Asher Daxton. Which is it? So I suspect that it's the continent that's the right colour, because there was magic everywhere before. And then the Isles somehow lost their magic, but it could totally be the other way around, and the fact that magic's there is unnatural.
Well, I really think the magic influence all around. So with the dragons, they feel stronger and they feel more powerful when magic is there. So we have referenced the colors and the ocean that are more vivid, the colors and the islands. We know for sure there's no magic in the islands. So for me, I think the magic influenced this as well. And again, what we see in previous episodes doesn't mean there's maybe magic in the ocean because the colors are vivid, or this is just the reference. There's no magic on the islands because it's all drained. And maybe now everything starts to flourish after centuries or something, but still with no magic. Everything is still pale. Everything is still just not vivid.
Do you think there's some connection between Violet and this lack of colouring? Because she's got pale skin, pale hair, pale everything. I think there's a link back to Violet.
I'm not sure, to be honest, because I always thought the all related, like physical appearance from Violet was because Lily was attacked by a venom when she was pregnant of Violet.
Poison tipped dagger or something, yeah.
Yeah, or the drain and start to take the colors or something. That's what I was thinking at the
That's
beginning.
what I feel like happened to the Isle Kingdoms. I feel like there previously was magic there and it's gone.
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't have any evidence for that.
And who did it? Venom or dragon?
Great question. So Violet has to face Marlies.
Yes, Marlies.
Marlies. I don't know why I say these kind of things in like a Hispanic way. Because the audio, that's kind of what I get. That's the vibe I get from Rebecca Solo when she does it in the audiobook.
Yes.
Dragons. That's what she says. Dragons.
So when Violet found out that she has to fight her and the Marlies comes to the mat, she sees Violet and she starts basically laughing at Violet. And Violet is like, yeah, I will get you.
I'm taking down bigger.
Taking them bigger. And she raises the eyebrows, so she understands that. And yes, we can give it that to Violet because if I will remember what happened at the beginning on Iron Flame, when she was fighting with this cadet that went there to kill her, it was a big guy.
The assassin, yeah, she took him down.
It was a Venom as well. So Violet, with magic or no magic, she is somebody that you need to be fearful about her.
Yeah. And Zayden's taught her to go for the weak spots.
Yeah.
And about leverage. Like,
be smart, being just strong.
I think Zayden taught her about leverage in the first, when he was like training her on the mat.
Yes.
So you mentioned this already. When she looks at the statue of Dune, she sees the golden eyes. I don't think I realised until this point that Andana could literally become invisible. Is it camouflage? Like, how? It must be pretty amazing because she can still make out the features of Dune, the statue of Dune. Or is she going invisible?
I honestly see her like Predator, in the movies, when it's camouflage in the jungle, or the only thing that you can see is like the eyes flashing from time to time. So I think that people can't see it. Yes, so it just like you can see through. And you're not aware that something is there.
So cool.
Yeah.
Violet says, just for once, it would be nice if Andana stayed where I asked her to be. Mm-hmm. Why would she? She's a dragon. They don't listen. They don't pay attention to humans. Like, this is another instance where they're babying Andana. She might listen to 10, but she's not going to... Violet will say stay there. She doesn't need to listen to Violet. She's just a puny human.
I mean, something that has been clear since Fourth Wing is that nobody tells to Andana what to do.
Well, nobody tells a dragon what to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, unless you are 10, then you are allowed to tell all the dragons what to do.
I think Andana needs an intervention. She needs to be like, stop treating me like a baby. I am far more powerful than you are, miss.
And all that.
Yeah, I'm older and wiser and, well, she's not wiser, but
Unique.
yeah, she's way more powerful than Violet. She needs to chill. Violet needs to chill out.
I mean, and Darna, the only thing he's doing is she's protecting her human, because in the end, that's what Violet is for her. And yes, we know that most all the cases, if the rider died, the dragon can survive. We don't know if it's the same for Andarna. Maybe if Violet dies, Andarna will die with her as well. So basically, she will be protecting her own life, making sure that Violet, she will be fine.
Yeah. They may have been the 2 known cases in history.
Yeah,
Irids.
true. And maybe that's why they just start bonding and
Yeah.
start just living.
But Irids are able to break bonds as well, so you'd think that they would have more control over that.
Yeah, that's another question. If they're able to break bonds, why it was so important for Leotan who bond first? Because if you're a Irid,
Well, maybe you can't.
Yeah, that's my theory. That's why I still think that Andarna was the first bond. But if they can break bonds with a human as the first rider,
You can't.
yeah.
Violet starts to fight with daggers. They all choose daggers, which makes sense because Dane and Xaden, they might not be their best thing, but they're definitely Violet's
to use
advantage.
that, yes.
And they're not going to be disadvantaged. Violet says adrenaline kicks in, coursing through her like power. This is another like nod to the fact that power is a type of drug. Adrenaline can be given as a drug. It's obviously a natural chemical that we produce in our body. But it reminds me of the, like, she's tired and she cracks open the door of the archives and gets like a energy boost.
Yeah.
This is like a similar thing. She's she's kind of talking about the adrenaline flood as in link to the power. And it's just one of those things that shows that how reliant, again, that she's getting on this power.
She is basically following the same steps of the dragons, just completely relying on anything that can give it that power or they can make him feel they are just invincible.
Yeah, and that's why I think a rider can't live without their dragon, because they're so reliant on this power. Their body doesn't work without it.
Yes. In the fight, Violet needs to rely on speed because she knows that she won't be able to outmatch Marley's own power. So she tries to stab her a couple of times. One of them she managed to cut Marley's, but at the same time Marley managed to try to stab her.
Yeah, breaks her ribs.
And break the ribs.
Again.
The only thing that was protecting Violet was the dragon scale armor from Mira. They saved her life again. And even Marley was impressed with that because she was looking at the daggers like there's something wrong with this because she should be dead by now or something. But she was like, okay, so I underestimate this little one. And then even she proposed like, okay, I'll take my armor out if you take yours. And Violet's just like, hard pass.
Yeah, I can get through yours. You can't get through.
Yes. But the fight continues, and Darna is the one who said that she needs to be quick, she needs to be careful because Dane is already unconscious. And yes, at this point, Dane had lost the fight. And I was thinking, because we know that at least we can be agreed that we used to think that Dane has something related with being more powerful because he's dad or because he was on second wing, that maybe they give him some super potion to get some power or something. Yeah. But it seems now there's more magic than other kind of stuff because now that he's out on the continent, there's no more magic around. He is just a regular human, so he don't have that much power.
Really good spot. Yeah, it's definitely magic, but could it be that they are injecting them with something that allows them to channel more magic without coming from take more magic from the dragon?
Yeah, that is something that is really interesting to find out what they're doing to maybe, give them a boost of the magic because, we know the cat give a lot of power and we think cat is something related to venom. So it's something that conditioned the body to take more power. But yeah, so far it's all pointing out that Dane is a powerful being, but just from the magic point of view. So, like a Venom.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's not Venom.
I said like a Venom.
He's good. Stop, let's not go into this again. But if you're interested in hearing our debate about whether Dane is good or bad, you can find a bonus episode if you subscribe on our website via Supercast, or if you subscribe on Spotify and Apple.
Yes, and find out who won.
Yeah, no spoilers. We debated the positives and negatives of a Mr. Dane Atos, and I really enjoyed it. We should do more of those debates.
Oh yeah, definitely. We should do it like random. Like one day you had to defend to death somebody, and I had to just.
I had to defend like someone
Katrina.
really hard to defend, like Daddy Atos. So. Yeah. Katrina, I could do that. Katrina would be a good one. Yeah, I think I could. I could. This is a very similar story to Dane, I think. Anyway, moving on.
Going back to the episode.
The actual story, yeah. Dane loses. Xaden is about to lose.
Yes.
Costa has him pinned against the wall. He can't do anything. Violet spots this, and Marlies is saying, you can either save him or you can yield. Like make me yield. You can't do both.
Yes.
Violet does both. She's just like
funny thing that she was like, decisions.
Yeah, decisions. And then Violet's like, swap hands, throw the dagger. She's got the knife back at her throat. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That allows Xaden to win. Those two are just a team. Yeah. Such a great team.
I know, and you see how Violet mind works, because yes, one of the reasons they chose daggers is because was Violet's biggest advantage, and obviously in this case
team
it was
advantage.
Proof. Yes, so she saved the situation, because without Violet's help, Xaden would be really. He would lose the fight.
I still think that they would have got the audience for the Queen, because Violet literally made the Queen yield. So she said it's 2. You've won 2 out of 3, so you've earned your right. I think even if only Violet had won, but Violet did win. If we take your theory that Andana's channeling from the sky, which I think I don't even know if that's a theory now. It's so obvious I can't even believe that I missed it. If we take that as fact, then she used the leverage. She got her into the position, but the fear of the lightning was really what did it, wasn't it? In the end,
she yelled after seeing that. And then she was asking to Violet, how do you do that? Because there's no magic here. And Violet was like, it wasn't me. But she's still saying, you broke the
that's been standing there for
700 years.
Yeah.
So Marlins knows there was Violet. Even
was it 700 years?
Yeah, 700 years.
So before the first 6.
Yes.
Interesting. That's got to be...
something about history that we need to build a little, the timeline.
Yeah, we need Carly's timeline. And just to add on that bit where it says Umbriel built the steps 700 between the 1,000-year-old king and the first 6.
The
steps were built. You know, if they cut a ribbon or anything. Yeah. Marlies eventually yields, and Violet had an upsie. I don't know, what she would have done differently. If she'd have known that Marlies was the queen, she could have treated her like Onyx, basically. Like, no, I don't want to fight you. You're the queen. But that wouldn't have earned her an audience. I think she would have still had to have fought, because the queen wanted to fight with her. So... yeah,
that's something weird. When she was saying that, I didn't know that it was you.
Just like you weren't supposed to. That's the point. Yeah.
What she was expecting would be changed if she knew, Her Majesty are about to stab her in the wrist, if that's fine with you. She
wouldn't have fought as well, would she? Because she'd have been...
trying not to hurt her, because she needed alliance.
Yeah. She absolutely needed it to be anonymous. But it turns out that they have not seen the Irid. So she gets her audience with the Queen. Auric is not allowed to go and talk. So Violet's like, I hope he forgives me if I give away all the family gold. But the first thing she asks is whether they've seen the 7th breed of dragon. Marlies doesn't even know that they exist. She's like, if they exist, we haven't seen them. I think she's being genuine.
Yes.
She also, we find out in the next chapter, which we won't cover this week, but she only asks for 12 eggs, 2 of each colour. She doesn't ask for 14 eggs, 2 of each. Well, it could be because she knows they haven't got any more eggs for the Irids, but I think I believe her that she didn't know that the Irids existed, or that she's heard of them, but they're like a myth. And then we find out that they do have a price, and they would come to Navarre's aid and they would fight with them, but only if they give them dragons.
Yes. So that is the end of the chapter.
It is. I think it's confirmation, like we said at the beginning, that they were the other party in the deal of the Second Crovelish uprising.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's significant. But we will leave it there.
Yes.
For this week. So, moving on to my favourite bit of the show where we cover Oryx auguries. This is the part where we pick our favourite theory for the week. I think I know what yours is going to be. And in the hopes that when book 4 comes out, we can stitch all these together and we can have a just mad montage of unhinged theories.
Yes.
What's your favourite theory from this week?
So from this episode, my favorite one is the Andarna. She needs to change the color of the scales to channel from the sky. And when she does that is when she said the magic feels different. And what she means is because it's coming from above.
I love it. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Fact. It's canon.
It's not theory. It's
the
what
story.
it is now,
That's the story. My favourite theory from this week is that Ten has been to the Isle of Umbriel before and he accompanied Daddy Sorengel when he took Violet to become dedicated.
Yes. That's something that obviously we don't know that much about Ten, but it's another mystery and all the layers that this dragon has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sticking with the theme of precognition, shall we look at the epigraph for chapter 33? Do not mistake a dragon's bond for fealty. If you expect a dragon to choose their rider over the well-being of their own kind, prepare for 2 things, disappointment and death. Colonel Kaori's Field Guide to Dragonkind.
Oh, Kaori.
I miss Kaori.
Yes.
This is the book that
So
I
many
really
good
want.
moments they have given us in the podcast.
I mean, I want the Fables of the Barons, but I do really, really, really want his Field Guide to Dragonkind. Anyway.
You think he's been disappointed by the dragon? Something. Do you love me more? No. Oh.
Yeah, he's seen stuff. He's the dragon watcher.
Yeah.
That's what Tan calls him. Okay, so enter the interrogation chamber.
Okay.
You have to take a gift to the King of Deverelli in exchange for access to his island. What are you taking?
Oh. It has to be something from the continent then.
Yeah, I mean, we could do this in 2 ways. So you can first pick something, it has to be from the continent. You are from Navarre. It's from this world. And then you could pick something like from modern day.
Okay, if it's from the continent, I think something that I can give any, he would be really interested. It's probably Warwick's journal.
Oh, that's risky. Oh, I think that's riskier than a dragon's egg.
I mean, that journal is full of lies and stuff.
Tells him how to take down the wards.
Yeah.
That's playing with fire.
That's why you will like him more.
Yeah, he will like it, but that you want to be tactical. I think she's fucked things up by giving the dragon egg. Oh. Warwick's journal, that is risky.
That's an audience for sure, 100%.
Well, yeah, but you'd also like be giving away classified information that would protect the kingdom.
Well,
I'm gonna
the
rethink
journal,
that.
the only thing they said is how to create.
No. Remember what Varys said? Varys said, in the wrong hands, this will tell you how to take down the wards.
True. Okay, let's change it for Lyra
Yeah,
then.
Lyra! Lyra's is even more like...
No idea.
Okay. What about from the modern day? I'm not leaving you in charge of any, like, security, by the way, from now on. Like Bodhi. It's like... willy-nilly giving out the family secret.
Top secrets, who cares?
I might get you to sign an NDA.
Yeah.
Anything that...
For modern days, probably I will give in some sun cream to keep the skin hydrated and young, because I believe he likes to be young.
Yeah. Again, he's probably already got that, but you would find it interesting, yeah. Sorry, this isn't me criticizing. This is me criticizing your gifts.
Okay, what about you then?
So I think I would take dragon scale armor. Not because he's got an army and wants an army, and like, but they do because, yeah.
Just one for him.
Yeah, he'd like that. And it's not that dangerous. It'd take a while to make, but we'd get Mira's friend who can make big things really tiny. Yeah, I think dragon scale armor would be good enough, but also wouldn't.
I don't think you would get an audience because
it's unique. There's never been any before. Violet's is the only one. Mira's been trying to tell her leadership to make some, but no, I think I'd get it. He could, like...
I mean, it's useful if you're a warrior, but for a king like him, you need to
can
first
trade it.
go to him, and he has a lot of guards around.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to necessarily keep all this stuff. He could trade that for something good. He could trade that with Umbriel. Umbriel will be all over that.
Collective, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's why the Queen wanted her to take it off, so she could pinch it. Not that it would fit anyone, because they're all like absolute beefcakes. But, yeah, I'll take the dragon scale armor. And from modern day, this is really weird, but I think I'd take him a helium balloon. I think he'd have quite a lot of fun. I don't know why I find that image so funny. He'd be like, what is this? Oh my God, thank you, yes. Just something like that you would never have seen before. I'd be like, what is this magic?
Yes. Magic's coming from
It doesn't matter how old you are, 1,000 years, it's still funny when you breathe helium balloon. Okay, should we move on to the question for this week?
Yes.
If you had to fight for an audience with one person in the world, should we do it alive or dead?
Alive or
One
all
person.
time? Alive.
One person currently alive.
Okay, yeah, currently alive.
If you had to fight for an audience with one person who is currently living in the world, who would that be?
Really good question. I like it.
If the person, for some reason, didn't want to see you, and you had to fight.
You had to fight, and then you get a moment with this person to ask anything. Rebecca Yaros.
To ask anything? Or to shoot a spam, I'm not telling you, go away.
Yeah, it's just for my podcast. Nobody.
Yeah. So I'm not telling you, go away. No, it doesn't even have to be ask a question. It could be like, tell them something.
Yeah, just have a chat. Okay.
So, thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. We're most active on Instagram. We do also have a Discord though, so come and join the conversation. We'd love to hear your theories, so if you've got a theory, send it our way. We always try to give you the credit that you deserve on the show and on socials, because let's be honest, the best theories come from all of you.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
We'll see you next week with more theories, more deep dives, and of course, with more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye!